and welcome to something a little bit different for a mess and address YouTube. So I've been giving it some serious thought recently about what exactly I wanted to do with this channel because I don't use it half as much as I would like to. Obviously I do my vlogs, which I really enjoy. I love having videos I can look back on, you know, years and months later to see kind of what we got up to and our little adventures. But COVID, not going out as much as I used to, there aren't as many adventures as there used to be, and just generally I want to be able to produce more content that's just at home. And I started to think about what that kind of content could be, and I knew it definitely wasn't going to be makeup, it wasn't going to be fashion. I kind of don't want to go down the cleaning route, so I was a bit at a loss. I also find this whole sitting in front of a camera talking really uncomfortable. It doesn't feel natural to me. I feel a bit silly. I'm hoping I get used to it. So I've recently joined an online book club for a book series called The Bridgerton Novels by Julia Quinn. It's all because there's a TV show coming out at Christmas. If you don't know about it, Google it, it's a thing, but I'm sure I'll talk about that in a later kind of video. But all you need to know is during this online chat I've met loads and loads and loads of girls, women, ladies. I don't think there are any men, I think it's all girls, just like me, who adore historical romance novels and reading in general. And as we've been chatting back and forward, discussing our favourite characters, favourite plot lines, bits we liked, bits we didn't like, it kind of occurred to me that this is something I love talking about. I love reading. I read all the time. You will always find me with my head stuck in a book somewhere, usually when I'm meant to be doing something else. And it just occurred to me that this is the kind of thing that I'm actually passionate about, and therefore the kind of thing that I enjoy talking about and would like to talk about more, and would like to meet more people who like talking about it. I don't really read the same things as my husband or any of my friends, so I don't really have anybody in my real life that I can talk to and share this with, so I thought it might be nice to have people in the online world that I can share this with. So, all of that said, I started watching loads of book YouTubers, book bloggers, book Instagrammers, and kind of getting a feel for it all and trying to see where I felt I might be able to join in with those conversations and kind of make my own stuff. And I've decided to start with something relatively simple and do a to be read list for December. Basically, does what it says on the tin. You pick a few books that you plan to read in any given month. I don't normally do this because I'm normally one of those readers who it's just whichever book kind of takes my fancy at the time. I don't really plan what I'm going to read at any given point, and I will get distracted very often and read something completely not on the list. Every time I've ever tried to do a reading challenge, I've got bored after 10 minutes and gone and read something completely different. But I thought this might be a good opportunity to read some of those books that maybe I brought because someone recommended them or because I saw it in a shop and was interested but then never actually got round to sitting and reading it. I thought this might be the time to sit and read them. So I'm going to go through. I've picked 5 to start with. Realistically, I'm going to read a lot more than 5 books in December, but I'm going to start with these 5, and any extra ones will be what they are. At the very end of the month, kind of coming up to New Year, I will do a bit of a roundup of all of these books, plus any extras that I then read, and I'll also do... I'm not probably going to do a full review of all of them, but I will talk about which ones I really liked, which ones maybe I didn't like as much, which ones I would maybe read again, and then, yeah, we'll see how we get on. I'm really excited. Like, for the first time in probably years, I'm actually excited about doing something on my blog and on YouTube, so that's really good, right? No more messing around, let's get started. First up, in honour of the great Julia Quinn, who has started a internet extravaganza this month as we all eagerly await Bridgerton, she also has written another series called the Rokesby series, which I have read 2 of the books I think so far in that series, and I suddenly realised as I was like searching through Google that I haven't read all of them, and there are more that have been released. So the first one is this one, which is The Other Miss Bridgerton. It is technically a prequel. The series is a prequel to the Bridgerton series, so it features characters kind of from their history. I've really liked the other 2. I've never read a Julia Quinn book that I haven't liked, so this will be an easy read. I'll whiz through that. I'm not worried about that one at all. Next up, something slightly different, is A Heart So Fierce and Broken by Brigid Kemmerer, do we pronounce it? I feel like this is going to be one whole series of me mispronouncing names, so I apologise in advance. This is actually the second in a series of books. So the first book is A Curse So Dark and Lonely, I think? I'm going to check that. It's a Beauty and the Beast retelling, and I actually got it in a book subscription box from Fairy Loot, and I absolutely loved it. It was really good. Really enjoyed it. I love a good Beauty and the Beast retelling. They're like my favourite kind of books to read. It had, it says Curse So Dark and Lonely. It says it right there. It also had a romantic element to it, which for me, as a romance reader, it's always going to make me like a book more if there's a bit of romance in there. But it's not a cliffhanger. The book ends, but it ends with a definite there's another book coming. And so I ran out and got the second book, and then found out that it's a trilogy. So there's another one. And this one, from the few reviews I've read, is a bit more of a cliffhanger. It's a bit more of the story isn't now finished. And that doesn't bother me. I love trilogies. I'll read trilogies all the time, but I don't like to start the trilogy until I know that I can end the trilogy. So I've waited and waited and waited and waited and waited. The third book is due out in January, so I figured now is the time to read this one, so I can then read the third book when it's released. I am a little wary because I have read that this book takes the characters to some pretty dark places. Some of them make some quite nasty decisions, and maybe characters that you loved in the first book you're not going to love as much in the second book, which worries me, but we'll see. I won't know till I've read it, right? Okay, so next up, excuse me. Yes, I'm drinking out of the giant Santa. So my next book is the only non-fiction book on this list. So I don't read non-fiction. I don't really read to be informed or educated or enlightened. I read to be entertained. That is like my sole requirement when reading, is I want someone to entertain me. But every now and again I see a self-help book or an educational book that I think might be interesting. So I'm going to try and make a promise to myself that every month I'll read one non-fiction book. So first up, I love a YouTuber called, I don't even know what her real name is, but her tag is Michelle B. And she regularly talks about this book, Getting Things Done by David Allen. It's the art of stress-free productivity. And my outlook on life is changing quite a bit, in that I used to be really like, I want to do everything, I want to be able to do everything and be perfect and always be on top of everything. And now I'm a bit like, yes, I want to get everything done, but I also want to be really relaxed and chilled about it. And I don't want to stress. I'm not worried about being perfect. I just want to have everything together, so I'm not worried, and I'm not kind of always chasing my tail. So 2021 is definitely going to be the year where I try and readjust my priorities and my lifestyle slightly to make everything a little bit easier, and I'm hoping that this book may kind of help me. It's quite chunky, like there's a lot, so I think I may have to kind of maybe do like a chapter a day or something, because I don't think this is going to be the kind of book I'm going to sit and read in the bath with a glass of wine, you know what I'm saying? But we'll see. She talks about it a lot on this YouTube channel. It comes highly recommended, so. So my fourth book is When the Curtain Falls by Carrie Hope Fletcher. Now, I have read a number of books by Carrie and I have really enjoyed them. She tends to write in a magical realism kind of style, which isn't a style I'm used to, and I do find it a little bit weird. Like, I'll be sat there and they'll be in all normal situations and suddenly something magical will happen. I'll be like, what is going on? But it's different. I have enjoyed the others. This one we actually got when we went to a book signing. I think, yes, it is signed. Because Freya is an absolute massive Carrie Hope Fletcher fan and really wanted to go meet her. So Mummy went to buy the book and took Freya along so Freya could get the book signed. But I've never actually read it, and that was probably 2 years ago maybe, so I thought the time had finally come to read it. It is billed as a cross between Moulin Rouge and The Phantom of the Opera, which sounds like it should be right up my street, so we'll see how we get on with that. Now, the final book on my list, I don't actually own the book itself, but I actually will be reading it on my Kindle. I subscribe to Kindle Unlimited, which is kind of like Netflix but for books. And basically you pay $7.99 a month and then you can read as many Kindle Unlimited books as you want, and it's mainly indie authors, but I have to say that's possibly something in its favour because I get to read so many authors that I've never even heard of that I absolutely love their books, and there are some of my favourite authors now are Kindle Unlimited authors. So normally with Kindle Unlimited books I can read these really, really quickly. Like I'll get through maybe one a day, maybe one over a day, sometimes more than one a day if I'm on a particular roll. I just devour them, they're my favourites. So I thought every month I would include at least one, because I have a spreadsheet, really, of books I would like to read that I've seen on Kindle Unlimited, and at the moment there's about 50 on there, so I thought I should probably start ticking some of those off. I tend to get distracted by Facebook ads and Instagram ads kind of recommending new Kindle Unlimited books, so I drift off and read those instead and forget about the ones on my list. So I've decided to include one on my list. The first one that we'll be reading is Indomitable, I don't know how well this is going to work, by Darcia Cobbler. It's a bad boy sports romance. Yes, that is the quality of book that I enjoy. I mean, usually these are smutty, I guess would be the polite way of putting it. They're usually quite raunchy. They're just fun. I mean, sometimes they get quite dark, sometimes I'll read quite kind of gritty. Sorry about that. Amazon parcel. So as I was saying, these kind of Kindle Unlimited romances can be quite steamy. They're the kind of stuff I have to hide from the kids. Definitely can't have them reading over my shoulder. Ask them what certain words mean. Could be awkward. But I do find them very enjoyable and I do love them. I used to consider them a guilty pleasure, but now that I found so many other people who also love them, they're just one of my pleasures. I love them. I'm not ashamed. It's a thing. So yeah, so we're going to give this one a try and we will see what we think. So that's it. That's all of my 5 books that I plan to read in December. As I said, I'm absolutely guaranteed to read far more than this. Like, I read tons. It's my number one go-to hobby, especially since we can't go out anywhere. So there we are, plus one on my Kindle. And I'll be back at the end of December to tell you what I thought. See you soon. No, this is totally not what I'm trying to say here. Start again. Rewind. Rewind. Didn't think that's too bad. I think I could get used to this.